What I did here is made a cheap little paint stand out in my backyard out of an old bird feeder stand that the bird feeder finally gave out, but I saved the stand. Um, just used a couple of the bolts to hold an old piece of, I don't know what it's called, but it's the trim that goes at the edge of carpet where it meets like a transition. I just enlarged the center hole big enough for this bolt to go through. This one is just using the washer from the bird feeder assembly to clamp this side so it doesn't move. Used electrical wire, stripped the copper to make a hook on each end, and then just ran it through. This is the battery box. Ran it through a hole in the battery box and bent it. And there we go, cheap little paint stand. So I could do some priming. Threw a garbage bag over the top of it, poked the bolts through the garbage bag, and this is just so we can still use the stand again and I don't get a bunch of spray paint onto it. I actually probably will shorten the copper wire, just unbend it and bend it back so it's a little bit higher because it's right about the level where I tied off the garbage bag. But yeah, just quick video, something I threw together today to do some priming of the battery boxes. Unlike the other stuff I've been priming, I did not put any filler material on the sides. I did do a little bit on the backs here because some of the back raised up off the print bed a little bit, warped just a little, so I did put some 2-part Bondo. While I was putting it on something else I had extra, so I put it around the top and bottom of both battery boxes where there was a little warping, even though it's the back and you don't really see it. This is the front. This is where the battery, or not the battery, the braided hoses come out of, and I just put a little painter's tape and cut it just bigger than the hole so it would stick on so the spray paint wouldn't go in. And the reason I did that is because there are threads in there, and the actual piece that you print, the knurled piece that goes into there that holds the hose, actually screws in to threads in this battery box. So I didn't want to get any paint on the threads just in case it ended up making it so the parts didn't fit. Humidity is maybe a little bit high for painting today, so I got a little bit of fuzz on it, but that just sounds right off, and this is just my first coat of primer, so like one of my main problems is that I haven't had time to do much painting with the weather, priming and painting and sanding, etc. So while I had some free time today, I just decided to come up with this thing and get the battery box's first coat of primer because it's about the only thing I have that's pretty much ready to go. Like I said, I didn't put any filler. I have been putting filler on and then sanding it back down before I put the first coat of primer on, but I figured the battery boxes, I'm going to go ahead and try it the other way that most people do. Primer first and then put filler, just for the heck of it, to see if what the difference is for me anyway with results doing it that way over the way I have been doing it. Don't need to paint in here because again this is upside down. This whole area is facing the foot shell, so you don't see any of that, and this is where the motors actually stick out of the foot shell and kind of go into that opening there because they are longer than the foot shell. These notches hook onto the foot shell, and then these two holes, bolts go through those, or through the foot shell into these, and then there's 4mm square nuts that go in there. I'm not sure if there's one in here or not. So I'm not to that point yet. But there's obviously one there because I can see the slot opening for it. So anyway, yeah, just, I don't know, if you've got an old bird feeder stand and your significant other doesn't mind, it's an idea to make a quick little thing to hang things on and paint. The other reason that I thought of doing this, apart from having somewhere to do it outside, other than doing it on a board, which is what I have been doing, that bucket, and then I've got some just old particle boards that I had cut up into squares just to make them easy to store, and they turned out perfect size to go on the bucket. I also have a Lazy Susan that we were using for a TV DVD combo, and so what I ended up doing is putting that on top of the bucket, two of those butted up against each other on top of the Lazy Susan so paint doesn't get on the Lazy Susan, and then I can just sit in one spot, spin the Lazy Susan by grabbing onto these, which hang out over the Lazy Susan on all four sides, and turn the whole table basically in circles so I can stay in one spot and spray all sides instead of what I had been doing, which is going or walking around in circles around the bucket with one piece of wood on top, spraying things from every angle. So this one here, obviously every side needs to be painted, so you're either going to have to put it on one end, spray everything else, and then flip it over and spray that other end, or you're going to need to hang it in somewhere if you want to spray it all at once. So that's why I came up with that. So I just thought I'd make a little video showing that in case it gives anybody any ideas.